Jamie.
Bathroom.
Jesus Christ. I don't drink beers before show.
Alright, you ready to roll this?
As soon as Jamie gets back from the restaurant.
So how long are we going to run this till? 8:45?
Yeah. I mean, what time's it? 8:10?
8:10.
How much time do you need on the other one?
10 minutes.
Alright.
We just got to hook up, make sure the cameras work, and the mics,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But it always takes longer than normal.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll go down at 8:45.
Is Justin streaming or no?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yes, we're streaming.
Okay, I always do that because it's kind of cool to see a bunch of pictures with it. If I decide.
In 5. Alright.
Okay.
Here we go.
Like a
That was
champ.
ready?
That was really
That was a
fast.
warrior
It was
intro.
really fast.
We're gonna go to about 8:45.
It is Monday night, so that means tonight it is KAYFABE Corner here at Meltdown Comics, and joining me today, last episode.
Last episode.
Indeed. I have a new co-host. This Miss Alicia Warrington
Yes.
joined us last week,
Yes.
or last episode. 'Cause
Last episode.
I was sick last week. We
You
weren't
were.
able to do last
Right.
episode, but now, ladies and gentlemen, Alicia Warrington is my new co-host.
Stoked.
Officially, she's a part of the Meltdown team now, and she's going to be joining me every week as we give you our thoughts and opinions on everything that happens in the world of sports entertainment.
So if you don't like it, got 2 words for you.
Watch it. This is a PG show, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to try to keep it as PG as possible. I'm so happy that you're here joining me finally, officially.
Very excited about it. Thanks for having me.
You were
officially.
great. You were great when Mick joined us, and Mick seemed to be a big fan of yours.
Yeah. Well,
He
you
did,
already know.
and
I'm
he
a
listened to
fan.
your music.
He did the
Mick
very next
actually-
day. That
Mick
how
tuned into
cool
your
is that?
stuff and
Mick's
listened to your
awesome, and I
music.
went to his comedy show that week as well.
Oh, you went to the one in
Irvine.
I
I did. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Mick Foley, if you're watching, and
Foley.
which chances are you are, after knowing what this is, thank you so much for joining us last episode. We look forward to seeing you again. And we are currently selling Mick Foley autographed sockos that he actually hand drew last episode. Ladies and gentlemen, all proceeds are going to charity. All proceeds are going to Connor's Cure. The I guess what would you call it? The de facto charity of WWE, the main one they go to.
Connor's
all right,
Cure.
so all proceeds are going to Connor's Cure. If you tuned in last episode, you'll know that Mick signed these personally. These are going for quite a few dollars. You'll be able to see on shopxsn.com right now. All proceeds don't go to Meltdown. All proceeds go to charity. So please buy your own Mr. Sacco, signed and created by Mick Foley, the hardcore legend himself. But now that we got all that stuff
Now
out of
we
the way,
got all of that out of there.
we got all the prerequisites out of the way. We're
Yes.
going into Fastlane.
Let's get into it.
We're going into Fastlane. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may or may not have known, last night was the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and that was Fastlane. And this is what, the second year it's been in effect?
Yes.
Because as far as I know, there hasn't been another, let's check with my producers, there hasn't been a Fastlane before 2015, am I correct?
I think
We're getting
that's
a
right.
one-eyed maybe. So that's as good as that's as good as a yes. Our producers are very, very quick with their info, so thank you very much. So getting right into it, let's start off. Fastlane was an interesting pay-per-view.
It was
to say the
interesting. I've seen some mixed reactions about it online. I liked it, I think, a bit more than the most recent pay-per-views. I don't know, but there was one segment in particular that lasted way too long.
And we're going to get to that. But and we are going to get to that, ladies and gentlemen. But let's start off because I've created an itinerary.
Yes.
We kind of put things together. Every KAYFABE corner, me and Alicia sit down in the Shop XSM green room and we watch Monday Night Raw. We watch it as it's happening, and literally after the show ends, we jump up, we come to this set, and we talk about it. And this is the most immediate reaction show other than the WWE post show, which doesn't always happen.
Right.
This is the most immediate reaction show you're going to get, bar none. So, not WWE solidified. Everybody else is fair game in this show. So going off on this tangent, coming
Yes.
back to where we were. So, the ending. Let's start at the ending. Let's start at the main event of
Starting at
Fastlane.
Fastlane
Let's
ending.
start at the ending of Fastlane, the main event. Triple H and Roman Reigns. Well, I mean, granted, what happened pretty much was as sure as the sun coming up.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns won the triple threat match between Brock Lesnar
We
and
could have
Dean
called that.
Ambrose.
Everybody could have called that, I think.
It was as sure as I said as the sun is rising the next day.
I mean, we weren't going to see Triple H taking all of those German suplexes.
No, he's done it. He's done it a few times, and
We
he doesn't
knew
want
we
to do
were
it
going to
again.
see that. We knew Dean wasn't going to face Triple H at
No,
WrestleMania.
which is a shame, because in my opinion, that would have been a great swerve.
And everyone, or the majority of the WWE fans, have seemed to be against Roman Reigns all year. So
I mean, he got booed out of the building last night.
yeah, and so what they did, they built him up all year.
Yeah, and now, I mean,
And now here we are.
in
Now-
about 5 weeks' time, we're going to see how all that year-long work is done.
Right. We'll probably see Roman as champion.
Granted, it was expected.
Yes.
Does that make it any better?
No, I think he will be champion soon. I think it's going to be short-lived,
Hmm.
but this is what they've built us up for.
I mean, granted, it is what we got built up for. I mean, this is their baby. This was their pet project for the entirety of 2015.
This is what they really wanted us to love.
Um,
So love it or not, this is what we
that's
got.
what you're getting.
That's what we have.
I mean,
I would have loved to see
I would
Brock
be amiss.
there.
I would be amiss to say that we're not gonna. I mean, just Roman Reigns is gonna win the belt at WrestleMania. It's just
gonna
gonna
win.
happen.
Yeah.
It's just gonna happen. Triple H is not actively defending the title right now. He's not defending it at house shows. He's not even showing up at house shows with the
No.
belt. So it's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when Roman gets the strap.
Agreed.
And he's already had it once.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting that he's already had it.
again, short-lived.
Yes, he's only had it once.
Poor Roman. Always the short-lived.
Because he won. I
glory.
mean, Roman Reigns is the same vein as other wrestlers who you want, like, I mean, because you could see that they're trying so hard. And while I'm not a fan, I almost like, as like a person who wants to be his friend, like, oh, he's trying so hard, like, get him one cheer at least, something, like,
I
don't.
feel kind of bad for him. Dare I say he's the equivalent to like the Eva Marie of the women.
Wow, you heard it first. See, I can't even get that out because
I mean, he's pretty, right? He's pretty.
Yes, he is
Eva
pretty.
Marie's pretty.
Eva
but
Marie is very pretty.
Do they have the in-ring skills?
Wow.
Huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it on KAYFABE Corner.
sorry.
Alicia Warrington
I'm
just
sorry.
likened Roman Reigns.
Mom, I hope you're not watching. My
Likened
mom probably won't
Roman
talk to me.
Reigns to Eva Marie. Wow, you heard it first on KAYFABE Corner. You're only going to hear it here on KAYFABE Corner. And I guess we could kind of move on from that
Okay.
topic. I mean, it happened.
Yeah,
We're going to
it
have to
happened.
live with it.
It's what's happening. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another topic that I have. And, this is something that you brought up.
Okay.
I'm going to let you kind of introduce this segment because this is
segment?
the segment that you did not like.
I think the segment where everyone decided to go and have a bathroom break and get their snacks when they realized how long it was going to be. Edge and Christian.
You knew exactly what I was talking
Edge
about.
and Christian. I mean, did we really need like 35 minutes of Edge and Christian, New Day? Like that was horrible.
And the league.
And the league.
And so
See, I forgot because
Yeah,
I
the
started
league
walking
was
around
there.
the house. I walked around at that
So,
point.
if this, to bring viewers up to speed, essentially, the WWE Network was trying to promote a new series that's airing. It's a network original. It's it's the Edge and Christian show. I wish I could tell you what it's about because I still don't understand what it's about,
I
even
only
after
watched
watching
2
one
minutes.
episode. 2 minutes. After watching the first 5 minutes of the first episode, I couldn't make it through it. I'm sorry. Like I've always tolerated Edge. I don't know why he got so. I don't understand why there was so much fanfare about Edge. I was never a huge Edge fan. I respect what he did. I just don't. I mean, first ballot Hall of Fame right after he retires. I never got that.
Yeah.
But
I like the tables, ladders, chairs.
of course, you can't knock
but-
that. You can't
yeah.
knock that. But there was 2 other teams involved in that.
Exactly.
But back to Fastlane. WWE was promoting a new series starring Edge and Christian, the former WWE Tag Team Champions, probably one of the best tag teams ever created in World Wrestling Entertainment.
True.
So they went on and they had a 35-minute talkathon, essentially, with the New Day and the League of Nations, for whatever reason they were thrown in there. I mean, I know why the New Day was thrown in there. They have history with Edge and Christian, but League of Nations, just because they weren't doing anything that night, I guess were thrown in there.
It was horrible.
And so it started off with Edge and Christian talking about nothing to the New Day, who are also talking about nothing, which is a rarity because usually the New Day are talking about everything. I love everything the New Day does. I am the biggest New Day fan on the planet.
I like New Day.
I can't take off my New Day hoodie except when it's hot out, like right now. This is a rarity in the New Day programming, is that they're actually put out something that I don't thoroughly enjoy. It's the first time it's ever happened, and then you throw in the League of Nations, who I don't even know why they were there in the first place, and it ran 35 minutes long.
35 minutes.
Not
long.
one altercation.
No. And then from that, we went to R-Truth.
Yes.
And Curtis Axel, which I kept waiting for the match to be interrupted.
Something.
I was like, this has got to be like when The Miz would fight Brodus Clay and Wade Barrett would interrupt with bad news. I kept waiting for something to happen.
And it didn't.
I couldn't believe that match followed that 35-minute long.
Well, I mean, granted, it was kind of servicing the whole R-Truth and Goldust program, which is going right now, which we'll talk on next,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll touch on next. But just my history with the company and the things I've seen, like the pacing and the timing of the show, and just how every minute is overanalyzed and overproduced over and over again.
Right.
More than 7 drafts are done each episode. I just found it so dumbfounding that not only like one segment, but 2 segments went over long and were right before the main event and didn't establish anything. It was 35 wasted minutes.
I couldn't believe it was right before the main event.
Right before the main event.
They could have, if they were going to bore us with that, it could have been in the pre-show.
It very well could have been. I mean, Kalisto and Del Rio blew it out of the
away.
water,
Yeah.
and they were the pre-show.
Yeah.
Well, first off, did you notice that there was a 2 out of 3 falls? It's a very traditional Lucha Libre rule.
Yes.
Based off of what I've learned out of the Lucha Libre style of wrestling, just for viewers at home, Lucha Libre, not always, but often, the traditional style of Lucha Libre wrestling involves 2 out of 3 falls. So, I mean, getting 2 Latino-based talents, Latin-based talents, and putting them in a traditional Lucha Libre match, I was stoked on it.
I was stoked on that. I'm a Alberto Del Rio fan, and he's awesome in those types of
And
matches.
I'm a huge Del Rio fan, but I'm an even more big of a Kalisto fan because I want to see him make it. I want to see him do great, even though he's already doing great. I want to see Kalisto go up and above and beyond.
He's a great wrestler.
I want to see him be the new
Kalisto.
Ray. He's done stuff Ray has.
I mentioned that last night, that he's like moving into that Rey Mysterio type of position at WWE.
He is, and I've seen him do more stuff than Ray has ever done.
Yeah.
In his career.
I think he's great.
No knocks to Ray, but this
No.
is just a different type of wrestler.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of field this question to you, and I want to get your opinion on this. Going back to the segment that followed the Edge and Christian New Day League of Nations segment.
Yes.
We had the match with R-Truth versus Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel.
Yep.
You would think that'd be easier to say. Curtis Axel, accompanied by the League of Nations, interrupted by Goldust, who cost R-Truth the match.
Right.
To take that all aside, Golden Truth, R-Truth, and Goldust have been, for the past few weeks. Goldust has been courting R-Truth to become his tag team partner. I personally, before you chime in, I personally am a fan of every time Goldust is given a partner or somebody to work off of.
Yep.
It's always worked for me. Going back to Booker T, even Oksana when she was on NXT.
I loved him with Booker T.
Booker T and Goldust is one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
Yes.
Do you think that anything could come of Goldust with R-Truth teaming together? Why do you think they're doing this right now? Is there any sunset on the horizon with this one?
I personally have no interest in this right now, but I do feel like their comedy stylings that they're going for is reminiscent of Team Hell No
Very
a
much
little
so.
bit. And what I don't understand right now is the road to WrestleMania. Where is their positioning in all of this?
And you are
in the
bringing
road
up
to WrestleMania.
You're bringing up facets of this conversation that are actually very important that I keep forgetting to take into consideration. That we are officially on.
This is building.
This is it.
This is it.
There's
So
no more pay-per-views.
are we seeing R-Truth Goldust WrestleMania?
Wow.
Pre-show.
I heard pre-show off. I heard pre-show off on the set. I'm not going to name who, but we heard pre-show off on the set, which is not unfeasible. It's entirely possible.
I can see it in pre-show.
Yes.
Other than that, I don't know.
Or are they going to have Macho Mandow and Curtis Axel beat Hulk Hogan again. That'd be awesome. Okay, so I personally love. I've been the biggest Goldust fan since I could even remember. I've loved Goldust every incarnation he's ever had in the company, from when he first started to
Dustin Rhodes.
Even the natural Dustin Rhodes. Even the natural, even though I was a big, and I'm gonna tell you why I was a huge Goldust fan growing up, and all my friends didn't get it. There's another tangent we'll go off on, because this is my show. Well, it's our show.
This is our show.
This is our show, and we do whatever we want. So I'm going to go off on this tangent right quick and explain to you why, even as a youngster, as a young go-getter, I was a fan of Goldust.
Okay.
So, when you're a kid, especially a young male,
You like to wear your mom's clothes.
see, this is what she's doing now. She's the official co-host now. So she's adding this.
You're gonna rethink this.
She's the ebb to my flow now. So.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, not by all means. Keep going with this. You see, you got me though.
I'm sorry.
You got me though, because I had no answer for that. Because I didn't expect it. It was out of nowhere.
Okay, but why?
It was RKO out of nowhere.
Okay, so why?
No, I'm commending you,
Okay.
sweetheart. Back what I was saying. So growing up, when you're a young male, when you're trying to be masculine in front of your other friends, you know, an effeminate character such as Goldust isn't the first one your friends would think is their most famous wrestler.
Okay.
And all my friends would be like, oh, you know, this is young kids talking back in like the late 90s. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a sissy.
Yeah.
He wears lipstick. And he's like, my friends were like, oh, he's a homo. And I was like, guys, no, he's not. He may have makeup on, but he's got one of the baddest chicks on the roster by his side every day. One,
Yeah.
two, he's in your head. That's why he's winning, because
Yeah.
he's freaking you out. He's not trying, that's, in my opinion, that's why I loved him, because I got him. Even that early of an age, I got what Goldust was about.
That's
He
cool.
was androgynous, he was in your head in a way that nobody else was able to get in your head. Like, he didn't play Taker mind games, he didn't play Mankind mind games, he played Goldust mind games. And that's why, to wrap this whole tangent up, that's why I'm a big Goldust fan. I just like seeing more of Goldust, because he's naturally funny. I don't think he's given.
entertaining.
I don't think he's given enough credit for how comical he could be. And even though it's with R-Truth, who's surely had his run, you know, and I don't know how much more of Little Jimmy we could possibly get.
I would say, yeah. What's
But-
up? Yeah.
Yeah, and but just because the kid in me,
Yeah.
This is young Jamie speaking. More Goldust on TV, the better.
I did like the Jimi Hendrix segment
Oh
that
my,
he did.
that was
one
amazing. That was the
brilliant. That was
Goldust
brilliant.
dressed as Jimi Hendrix outside of the arena was the background of my phone, and I kid you not, it was the background of my phone for 2 weeks.
I loved
because
that.
it was
I loved that.
amazing. You notice how he's kind of doing the Kamala
Yeah.
painting on his lips.
Yeah,
You
I
notice
like that. Yeah.
I know
The
that
little
was
teeth
interesting.
there, yeah.
All right, we haven't. So enough of that. We've talked about Fastlane. We've talked about everything that happened Sunday night. Let's talk about what happened tonight, Monday Night Raw. Let's go back into Monday Night Raw, you know, because this is the show for that. We had a very surprising intro to Monday Night Raw.
Really big things happened.
I'm going to let you tell what happened. in the
Okay,
beginning.
so tonight on Monday Night Raw, they took 30 minutes, which was appropriate today.
to introduce the
Unlike-
Vincent J. McMahon
Unlike Fastlane,
to introduce the Vincent J. McMahon Award for Excellence
award, which was received by Stephanie
at first.
at first. And then we had a huge surprise, a surprise return by the one and only.
Shane McMahon, ladies and gentlemen, the prodigal son has returned.
O'Mac.
Shane McMahon is finally back on WWE television, and I am not alone saying that everybody is ecstatic about this.
It was a huge pop.
It was
Huge pop.
one of the bigger pops I've heard since Austin made his run in during the McFoley
And he
match.
came out dancing.
And he was wearing Jordans. He was wearing Jordan 1s. I mean, other than I don't think I've ever seen anybody dance in Jordan 1s on WWE television in a suit.
I haven't.
In a suit. He was in a full suit. Not a full suit, 2-piece, not a 3-piece. He was in a 2-piece suit, and he danced to the ring in Jordan 1s.
Shane is back, and he's ready to take over Raw.
So that's another topic we're going to get to. So to touch off of what my co-host just said, the prodigal son, Shane McMahon, is returned. It was a huge reaction, granted, as you may well expected. Everybody lost their minds because this was the last thing I expected.
I would have no idea that this was going to happen.
And not only to
I don't
start
think
with,
anyone did.
not to only start with that unexpected moment, Vince, being Vince McMahon, followed it up with 2 more unexpected moments. not only is Shane McMahon back, but Shane, as you said, wants control of Monday Night Raw because he said he never lost it. Stephanie was just kind of holding her older brother's spot before he could jump back in.
Right.
And Vince McMahon, after Shane made his declaration saying that he is the rightful boss of Monday Night Raw, Vince said, okay, you could get Monday Night Raw, but you have to win this match on this specified date.
Another shocker.
Which was another shocker, because then you think, before we found out what it was, you're like, huh.
I'm like, Brock Lesnar, who can they
Vince?
use? Who's the muscle? Well, I was hoping to see Vince.
I was hoping to see Vince and Shane one more time.
I wanted to see him in that horrible referee
I wanted
suit.
to see that so bad. I wanted to see Vince and Shane go at it one more time because I loved their match that they had at WrestleMania
That was
17.
amazing. Yeah.
I loved it, like Vince's wife being all comatose and finally rising out of the wheelchair and stuff. It was fantastic. But we didn't get Vince versus Shane at WrestleMania,
We
did
got
we?
another surprise.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shane McMahon will be facing The Undertaker. The Undertaker, the only other person other than Shawn Michaels to be notified alongside WrestleMania in a Hell in a Cell match.
Hell in a Cell.
What?
Shane McMahon returned. I mean, when was the last time he was in the ring? Like 10 years ago?
If that. I think the last time he was in the ring was when Vince was trying to figure out who his illegitimate son was.
So well over 10 years, he hasn't been in the ring. And
And
now
don't
he's
quote
got-
me on that because that may be wrong, but
Could be wrong. It's been at least 10 years. And now we have Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker.
not just a match with The Undertaker, what could possibly be Undertaker's last match in the World Wrestling Entertainment. Possibly, I can neither confirm or deny that.
His last match?
Who else would it be against?
Do you know what? They have to make this, they have to give us something a little more with this, like the company versus career.
Well,
like
again,
Undertaker.
there is less than 5 weeks left until WrestleMania.
True.
And I'm still kind of reeling over this whole thing with Shane McMahon being announced as The Undertaker's opponent at WrestleMania 32 in a Hell in a Cell match, nonetheless. And it's just, well, first off, we're still reeling off that initial announcement because when you hear that Taker's going to have a match at WrestleMania, you're expecting Brock Lesnar, Kane, Triple H, maybe even The Rock. You are not expecting a guy who's been not an active wrestler, but someone who's been left off of WWE television for over a decade, it seems like. And he's not an active wrestler. As you've seen when he's back on TV, even though he looks good, he is a little gray behind the ears.
It's a little gray.
He doesn't have the jet black hair that Shane used to have back in the day. So my question to you is, and I'm going to kind of maneuver this statement into a question. Where does this leave Undertaker?
Well, where does this leave Undertaker? In Undertaker's heel? Because, I mean, the huge pop that we got for Shane, everyone's super excited that he's back.
Because the initial reaction we got right now is Shane McMahon is working as a face.
Right.
That is what we're getting right now.
Initial reaction still. But Undertaker, everyone's been behind him for the past few years.
We haven't had a heel Undertaker since 2002.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. If
What-
that's,
yeah.
if that's what we're going
will
into.
there be more stipulations possibly added to this?
I would say yes.
I mean,
Strong yes.
I want there to be, because I want there to be like, okay, it's just Taker has nothing on the line as well. Because in my opinion, in order for us to be able to side with either Shane or Taker, a lot more development with this storyline has to go through with the following weeks. And, you know, we got a pretty good, I mean, based off of the very subpar show we got last night at Fastlane, we were given a pretty good surprise this afternoon.
I would say so. Yeah.
Oh, and you know, we got about less than 5 weeks. Maybe they're gonna have another night like this.
There's time for a little bit of development there.
As cliche as it sounds, ladies and gentlemen, Vince McMahon is not wrong when he says anything and everything does happen in the WWE. As cliche as it sounds, he's proved it time and time again that it does indeed happen. So we're running low on time right now, so I'm gonna keep going with it. And
Keep going.
So the first ballot we ever got at the WrestleMania 32 Hall of Fame ceremony in Dallas, Texas, is Sting, the icon, the WCW franchise, the vigilante, whatever nickname you want to give him.
Yeah.
He is the first ballot entry into the 2016 Hall of Fame class. Monday Night Raw tonight, even though a lot of the list was supposedly leaked,
Right.
the official confirmation of the second entry into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016 is Charles Wright, a.k.a. The Godfather, a.k.a. Papa Shango, a.k.a. Kama Mustafa.
Right.
3 different gimmicks on WWE television, ladies and gentlemen, and he is entering the halls of professional wrestling or sports entertainment. Your thoughts?
I think a lot of people might be upset with that one.
Really?
Maybe so. I think that some people might think other people could go before him. I was a fan. I think that the whole pimp character definitely epitomized the whole Attitude Era. Like it was perfect of that time period. I was a fan of his with the Nation of Domination.
When he was Kama.
Yes. And then, Papa Shango, I was a fan. A lot of people didn't like that gimmick. They thought it was cheesy. I don't know.
I was a Papa Shango fan personally when I was growing up. I loved Papa Shango. I loved when Papa Shango made Ultimate Warrior's brain melt, like when the green stuff came out of his head.
How do you not love that?
I thought it was amazing. I still don't know how they did it, like because Warrior wasn't wearing a hat, so I don't know how he was doing it. And I love The Godfather. How could you, as a prepubescent male growing up watching this, which you were not, as far as I know.
I was not. Which is maybe why I didn't care for the pimp characters much.
Or Val Venus.
Right.
He had the Ho Train.
He did.
When you're a 13-year-old boy, you see the Ho Train coming, you're paying attention. And the Attitude Era was very influential in my development, as you would say, because I was going through puberty.
Yeah.
The same time WWE was transitioning to the Attitude Era. It's a great time to be a 13-year-old.
That's perfect.
It was a
for
great
teenager.
time. I am happy to see Godfather back in. I don't know if I would have made him a second-round choice.
Right.
I would have maybe seen him like 4th or 5th down the line.
Agreeable with that, yeah.
I do think he made enough of a presence at in the WWE. Longevity for sure. He's gone into 3 different gimmicks.
Sure, yeah.
And they weren't one-offs.
No.
Like he was at least under each gimmick for a max of like maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, a couple years at least. Yeah.
And he's always been a good hand. I mean, a lot of people said, oh, well, Godfather's in there because Coco Beware's in there. I don't see that.
I don't see that.
I don't see the Coco Beware's career being nowhere near as the same as the Godfather's or Charles Wright's. I am personally happy to see the Godfather in the Hall of Fame. I always thought he was going to be. Here's a question. If Godfather's going in, does Val Venus?
No.
That's tricky, because I feel like they barely etched out Godfather because he was Charles Wright, Kama Mustafa, and Papa Shango. Yeah. Val Venus' entire gimmick, his entire career, was he was a porn star.
Right.
Is that okay for, even though he isn't really a porn star, is that justification to be in the Hall of Fame? Because Godfather, while his whole gimmick was very non-PG,
right,
he made a lot of impact in the company with other gimmicks as well, whereas Val Venus only had one.
But then you look at things like Chyna. Like the argument about not letting Chyna in the Hall of Fame was because of her tapes online that were not PG. Like there's a whole, like where's the line?
You're also getting, you're getting one angle, which is Chyna, whereas that's legitimate pornography, whereas there's actual physical tapes where you could go see Chyna have sex with Sean Waltman. This was all,
but it's still the gimmick.
It's all make-believe, and yes. Did you actually know, and I didn't know this until I watched the special features of the Attitude Era DVD, that the first vignettes to introduce Val Venus were done with Jenna Jameson?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that until like a few months ago. And I was watching the bonus features on the Attitude Era DVD, and they had a bunch of because a lot of the Attitude Era guys were introduced with like vignettes, like when Mick was in the dungeon, he was playing with his rat and stuff. And Val's he was on set with Jenna Jameson, and I was like, why isn't this more of a thing?
Yeah,
like,
I never heard that before.
Like, nobody knows about that. Everybody knows when Diesel and Shawn came out with Jenny McCarthy and Pamela Anderson, but nobody knows about when Val Venus had not one, but like 2 or 3 segments with Jenna Jameson.
Yeah, no idea.
I guess that's another thing that just got
that's some insider information.
Brushed. No insider. It happened. I mean, you could look it up on the network, but again, I guess this is something that maybe they kind of want to keep brushed under the rug alongside Katie Vick.
Little DL, yeah.
Alongside Katie Vick and other awesome ideas that didn't go as well as they thought it would. So, we had Fastlane, we had Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw. If you kind of want to just kind of wrap it, because we are nearing the end of tonight's show, which the show ended with Roman Reigns and Triple H having a physicality. Triple H pedigreeing Roman Reigns on the steel steps. giving Roman Reigns some color. I don't know if it was legitimate or.
I loved it. I mean, Roman got hit with the bell. He was smashed into the table. There was blood. It was like a street brawl, which is kind of a little preview of what we're going to get at WrestleMania.
And Hunter was in street clothes, whenever
he was
Hunter's
in mom
in
jeans.
He was a lot of WWE talent has some very interesting choices in mom jeans today. Not only did the Cerebral Assassin wear some less than desirable jeans, but not only that, but the daughter of a Hall of Famer, two-time Hall of Famer Ric Flair. What was Charlotte wearing today?
What was she wearing?
She was wearing.
We could do who wore it worst.
We could, and usually that's the entire roster for a WWE that's the entire roster for WWE.
That's a whole nother show.
While they're so talented, they're not known as the best dressers on the planet.
No, I mean look at AJ Styles, for God's sake.
Affliction, Tap Out, all that stuff. I mean, if y'all want to wear it, that's cool. But I know you guys have limited on laundry, but maybe go shopping a little more. There was a lot of one of those in terms of just in wrestling. Entirety. I'm dating myself with the one of those, like terrible shoes, dating all the way back to when Batista ripped his pants when he was doing his run-in.
Oh, yeah.
I think there needs to be a designer for a lot of these people. No, not a designer.
They have a stylist, don't
they? A stylist. I think the divas do. I don't think the guys do.
Oh, well, Charlotte certainly didn't have one tonight.
Nope. I don't know what you wear with a patent leather top and bright blue jeans.
And I'll just say, because Ryback had a moment today where he walked out. He walked out on his partners. I don't like what they changed Ryback's suit to either. I like the old RVD style.
I loved
that.
I'm right there with you on that.
Love that.
To those who don't know, Ryback since the beginning of his career, actually no, that's a lie. Ever since the beginning of Ryback's career, not Skip Sheffield's.
You're right.
At the beginning of Ryback's career.
That was just a cowboy hat.
Yeah, yep. I'm glad he's not. At least he's not wearing a cowboy hat anymore. Ryback for his entire career as Ryback has had a full singlet, airbrushed very much in the same vein as Rob Van Dam. Recently, for whatever reason, he decided to not wear that anymore, and we don't have a picture of that because I refused to download a picture of it and put it on the site. Is Ryback? I love you, Ryback. I think you're a friend of mine. I think what you do is great. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of the shorts, the trunks. I'm not. I liked the airbrush. I like the different designs. I like the weightlifter belt. Even though, is the weightlifter belt still there?
When he comes out, and
when
then
he comes
takes
out.
it out. Yeah.
Okay, and
it says big guy.
Yeah. I just I liked his gear. I liked his original gear. I'm not a fan of the new Ryback gear. I don't know what they're doing. Like you mentioned, Ryback left Kane and Big Show in their tag team match against the Wyatts high to dry on Monday Night Raw tonight.
Which I thought he kind of carried their match last night at Fastlane.
He did, because if you got to count all three of those guys, all three of those giants, he's the most mobile out of all.
Yeah, I mean Big Show can't last out there.
You can't, and that's just, and you can't really fault him for that. That's age.
No.
Not only with Big Show, but with Kane as well.
Yeah.
But Ryback's done this before. He's done the whole, it's just me now, I'm stepping off on my own, and he's done it twice now.
True,
and it's not real, even though I think it should pan out better, where I always differ a lot when wrestling fans say, with wrestling fans when I say I'm a big Ryback fan.
I'm a big Ryback
fan. I love
fan.
Ryback. I've always been a huge Ryback fan.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot to offer in terms of.
I totally agree.
When I say big guy, when he's the big guy, he's the big guy. Like and you know why what won me over with him a lot more? It wasn't just him destroying jobbers every week when he first came out. He's learning. Mm-hmm. He's improving.
He is definitely improving.
Legitimately in there, in the performance center, in the gym, wherever he's learning, trying to own his craft. He really is, and you could tell.
He is no Cena.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Cena's figured out his niche. He's got it going, and that's all he needs to do.
It's like that Hogan leg drop, you know?
So, going into next week's episode, we have another episode on Monday Night Raw. Not another episode of Lucha Underground. We just got another episode of Monday Night Raw coming up next week, and just to lead into next week's episode, a lot of stuff happened. Not a lot of stuff, but some interesting things happened. Will Shane McMahon be on Monday Night Raw next week? Will we hear from The Undertaker?
Right.
Is Brock going to be there again? Because Brock did essentially just destroy Dean Ambrose all night.
Threw him through a window today.
Yeah.
Car window.
All night.
And then Dean drove back in the ambulance.
Again. These ambulance drivers have got to stop giving Dean Ambrose keys, because he seems to be able to commandeer a lot of ambulances.
Yes.
And as you guys know, ladies and gentlemen, anything and everything does happen in the WWE and in professional wrestling, aka sports entertainment in general. We are going to wrap it up tonight. This has been another amazing episode of KayFabe Corner. Again, if you missed last week's episode, we are still selling Mick Foley's not personalized because that's not the word I was looking for, Mick Foley's autographed and personally made Sockos. We have a few of them. All these proceeds are going to charity. If you want to zoom in on the Socko right now. Mick Foley made all of these personally. If you watched last week's episode, you see proof that he did make them. All proceeds are going to charity. You can go to shopxsn.com right now and find out how to buy one of these. Also, if you want to chime into every episode, you could hashtag KayFabe Corner. That's hashtag KAYFABE KORNER. That's hashtag KAYFABE KORNER. Ladies and gentlemen, this was another amazing episode of KayFabe Corner. For Alicia Warrington, I'm Jamie Iovine. Welcome to KayFabe Corner. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.